Yeah. Very eloquent explanation. Does someone else want to add on? I'm going to cold call on y'all. Brooke?
How do you compute?
Economic harm to the
Right.
U.S. and allies.
Exactly. So, all comes back to this idea about trade.
Yep.
Okay? If we need to give most of our money away to other countries, what money do we have to spend for ourselves? Right? Pretty conservative view. Keep all of our money to ourselves so that we can recover. Meanwhile, the other side is thinking, no, we should help other countries. We're better off than them. We should, right? Where do I think this is on the truth scale? Well, let's see your ideas. What do y'all think? What do we think? Do you want to keep our money to ourselves or give our money away? It's the same thing over there we talked about, but kind of different. Keep it, yeah? I think you guys are probably right, like about here. And the only reason I say that is because we looked at the debt calculator, right? Like, we are nearing levels of debt that is probably not good just to keep spending it. So we probably do need to keep it a little bit and kind of cut back on our spending, right? And that is going to involve the military, but more importantly, it's going to involve a lot of aid that we give out. So yeah, it's still 31 trillion, but you know, it is going up.
31 trillion and 500.
I don't remember what the 31 point was last week. Anyone remember?
That's 31 point something.
I
Three.
think 31 point
That's 31 point
One?
31.4.
Okay, well
Yeah,
still, we
I
gained
think it's
$100
more
billion
actually.
of debt in 1 week. Not great, right? So if we continue that pace, that is quite a bit. If we keep continuing that, it's not good. Really, really not good. So I would probably say, yeah, you guys are right. Here is probably the truth. So, in summary, now that we're summarizing all of this, this is the most important part. Pay attention, okay? Who is right, who is wrong? Stability, no stability. No stability is probably right, okay? The reason why we have stability is not because of the great power competition. This is just the truth. It's because of globalization, trade, and multiple alliances that we have built, and our contribution to peace treaties that keep the world together. It's not just the US blazing guns and putting stuff everywhere. But I agree that the US doing all that is still important, right? But then again, if I really have to think down to the data, it's going to be no stability. So if you're the pro and you want to go for stability, you really understand the arguments, we went over a lot, good, go for it. If you know the debate better than your opponent, you're going to win. But what I'm saying is if your opponent seems really smart and they're really pressuring you on the stability contention, just drop it, not worth it. Okay? But what do I definitely think is right on the pro? Revisionism. Okay? Now, you might be thinking, why does our pro case have one contention that's bad and one that's good? Why not have both that's good? Okay? This is not, it's kind of like bait. Yeah, ever fish? You know what fishing is bait, right? We want them to really pile on to this because this and this are not connected in any way whatsoever, right? China's revisionism is not really connected to the way that the world is stable. China's usually a revisionist because they have sacred commitments to Taiwan and they want to do their own thing. It's not really connected to how strong the U.S. is and their military presence and debt and stuff like that. So even if they spend all 3 minutes of their rebuttal talking about this one and only 1 minute here because they can't come up with anything versus here, you just go for this one, okay? Be smart and think about which one you go for, right here, okay? Then smaller things that we're right about, right? We're generally right about stop caring. This just goes back to here, right? Which was also here. Okay, generally right about that. And we're also generally gonna be, we're 100% right on trade, okay? If you're in cross and you're the pro and the con says, okay, why is the world the way it is right now? Is it because of trade? Obviously, don't just give them that, but just be like, trade is important, yes. But we also think that the US having military presence is also something else that is beneficial, right? You're not lying, but you're not exactly telling the truth either. Does that make sense? So, you can't deny trade is important. It is, right? We know that. But another thing that's important is our ability to stop what? Miscalc. And stopping conflict. That, no amount of trade can stop conflict, right? I mean, it can, but it's not going to literally stop guns and weapons once it's going. The only thing that's going to stop is U.S. military power, right? Does that make sense? So, two sides of the debate, both of them you need to be really understood, and which is why I think if you're on the pro, go for this. Okay? On the con, what are you right about? Well, arms racing, I think number one, the multipolarity thing, right? Generally, I think you are, depends. Really depends how well you know this, how much research you do, but I feel it is defensible, which is why I think it's good. I think arms racing you might be right about. I think, the world generally isn't okay. That's the first question we did, right? Is the world stable or unstable? It's not stable right now, right? Yeah, you're probably right about this. And realistically, I don't know if you're right about the econ thing as much. Hey guys, pay attention. Hands off computers. I don't know if you're really right about this econ thing as much because think about the US economy, right? We have a $3 trillion GDP. Or it might even be more, I don't know. But 30 I think. Anyway, that is not gonna all come crumbling down just because we overstretch a little bit in the military. Right? It's like remember, it's not a two-sided coin, like one is right, one is wrong. It's always like a sliding scale. And there's some arguments here that some person is right on, some person argument here you right on. You need to debate here and convince your judge that this is somehow more important than this, and this is more important than this. That's what debating is, that's what we have to do, right? Some parts of there's no way that we can be right about every single thing. That's a big idea I want you guys to understand. You can't be right about every single thing whether you're pro or con. It's just not true. Because otherwise if we were right, why would we have the debate? There's no reason. One side is going to win every single time. Both sides have something to say, but what you need to do is make your argument seem better by being logical, okay? And the way you do that is to just comparison, right? Yes, you might be right about this, but in the grand scheme of things, this is right. Yes, you may be right about this, but we have a bigger impact that we're amounting to. We're looking at more people, stuff like that, right? Does that make sense? So generally, I think the biggest skill in debate is being able to talk with someone else and being able to understand that they have some points to say, but that you believe that you're right. Does that make sense? So that's the big idea here. Now, let's quickly talk about how you're going to respond to this, right? If you're on the neg and someone is on the pro and they talk about revisionism and you remember my lecture, oh no, revisionism is kind of true, right? What do I say? Well, just ask them questions. Why would China suddenly become revisionist all of a sudden? Maybe they don't know their whole, full arguments. Maybe they're just saying stuff, right? Why would it be so 100% certain that China would go after Taiwan? Why wouldn't they do something in India or something like that? And if they do, wouldn't they have the problems of military overstretch, right? Just keep asking questions, try to come up with reasons it's false. And even if they're not great questions, even if they're not great answers, if you scare your opponent into thinking you do know that they're wrong, because think about it, the opponent, they know their case better than you, right? They wrote it. So they also know what they're going to face. So maybe they think that they're wrong about revisionism. You don't know. You don't know until the debate plays out. But you can go in there, you can be confident in what you know, present it in a confident way, and then beat them, right? Because the big thing about debate is that it's not just research papers that we're comparing. It's about your ability to persuade the judge to believe in you, right? That matters a lot more than the actual evidence. And I've seen that happen, right? Maybe someone's evidence is bad, but they really, really, show it up. There you go, it's great now, right? So how about what the judge thinks? Keep that in mind, okay? So ask some hard-hitting questions about Chinese revisionism. If you're on arms racing, if you're facing this arms racing contention and you're the pro, maybe talk about globalization and trade. Basically, if you're the con, talk about globalization and trade. And if you're attacking this as the pro, talk about miscalc, right? Talk about miscalc in the sense that how are you going to stop this arms race, right? Just because we step down, does that mean that arms race suddenly goes away? No. Russia and China are still going to be building up weapons. So what's the solution? A world where we have weapons to stop them, or a world where we don't? Right? Phrase it like that. I would recommend that, right? And the econ thing, don't worry about this too much because you already know how to answer that. We already have an econ contention in the pro. Okay? And these are generally the only arguments you're going to face. If there's an argument that you face you don't know, there's a reason you don't know about it. I have not told you it because it's not a good argument for very obvious reasons, right? One of them might be something in Israel and Palestine. Generally, that region is very unstable. Yes, I agree, but U.S. aid probably has done more good there than not. So yeah, probably pro is going to win that. So they might talk about that, but your contentions are better because they're way faster, right? This arms racing and unipolarity econ stuff happens way faster than any potential Israel-Palestine conflict that they don't even have a time frame for. There is a time frame for this. We know that. It's in the evidence. It's like 5 to 10 years. That China's workforce is going to be gone. They don't have enough taxes, etc. So you do 100% know that this is going to happen unless we pull back. You don't know about their conflicts, right? So think about basically, if I had to summarize, how do you compare, right? First, M, magnitude. Let's say the pro, they prevent 500 million deaths, and the neg, they prevent 700 million. Which world is better? You want to save 500 million lives or save 700 million lives?
700.
There you go. Very easy, right? Numbers game. Then, probability. Let's say there's a 1% chance of it happening versus 95.
95.
Very easy, right? Let's say time frame. This happens in 10 years. This happens in 1 year. Which one would you rather stop? 1 year.
Yeah.
Let's say scope. This affects the world, one country.
World.
There you go. So you already know, right? It's very intuitive. But you just need to find this and then talk about it. Yes? Yeah, you're good. You just need to find this and talk about it, right? And you don't need to specifically talk in these terms. That's just what I remember it as. But as long as you generally know what you're talking about, you're going to be fine. Okay? And we're going to practice this next week, so don't worry about it, all right? I think we're good.